On the world news tonight from Babagide Imo Television, first the headlines. Tinubu receives letters of credence from 4 envoys. FG plans new FX rules by end of 2023, says Presidential Tax Committee. Nigeria not using its wealth to improve living conditions of citizens, Akpabio. Tinubu calls Atiku Abubakar anarchist, thief over comment on Supreme Court ruling. The lot doing, Remi Tinubu hails Supreme Court verdicts. And on sports, Napoli will lose 100 million euros if Osimhen leaves. I am Morire Rabila Lawal, the news in detail. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu today received letters of credence from 4 envoys. The president received the letters today in Abuja, October 31st, 2023. President Bola received letters of credence from Jose Bomiquizal, ambassador-designate of the Republic of Angola to Nigeria, and Peter Linkdwing, the ambassador-designated of the Kingdom of Belgium to Nigeria. The president also received letters of credence from Servin Bere, the ambassador-designate of the Kingdom of Norway, and Albert Kettler, the ambassador-designate of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela to Nigeria. The chair of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, says the federal government is planning to introduce new foreign exchange rules, including a crackdown on illegal currency trading by the end of 2023. According to him, it is hoped that the move will result in the naira closing its more than 45% gap with the unofficial rate and reaching a fair price by year end. In an interview with Bloomberg, Oyedele said the government plans to clear a backlog of dollar demand estimated at about $6.7 billion US, bolster the naira forward market, and set transparent rules for the operations of the official market. Oyedele, a former fiscal policy partner and Africa tax leader at PricewaterhouseCoopers, said, "We think all of that will happen by December, and maybe in a matter of a couple of weeks we will begin to see the results, so that before the end of the calendar year, Naira should find its true value, not that the one that is being done currently in the parallel market." Oyedele said the government sees a fair price for the dollar at around 650 to 750 Naira. He said the divergence between the official and parallel market rate means you are sucking liquidity and supply from the official market to the parallel market because everyone wants the premium. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has said Nigerians was not utilizing the wealth accrued from the oil and gas sector to develop other sectors of the economy. Neither was the wealth being used to improve the living conditions of citizens. Akpabio, who spoke at the capacity building workshop for the various hydrocarbon-related committees of the Nigerian National Assembly, organized by the Independent Petroleum Producers Group (IPPG) and the Oil Producers Trade Section (OPTS), on Monday in Abuja, regretted that the nation's oil seems to be a curse rather than a blessing. Represented by Senate Committee Chairman, Petroleum Upstream, Etang Williams, he was optimistic the engagement between the National Assembly and key oil and gas industry players would help Nigeria to remove our God-given blessings via natural resources out of the path of shame to a path that would bring progress and development to the citizens. The oil has not been as much as a blessing as it ought to be. Some think it has become a curse because the proceeds from the oil are not utilized to support the agricultural and manufacturing sectors. This sector has been neglected. We do not have the granite pyramid in the north anymore. We do not have the cocoa house in the west anymore. We do not have the palm plantation in the east anymore. These countries, a resource cost or paradox of plenty. A resource cost is a situation in which nations fail to use their wealth to improve the living conditions of the people and foster their economy. The wealth leads to corruption and poverty rather than economic development. Yesterday, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu criticized Atiku Abubakar, labeling him as a demagogue, an anarchist, and a kleptocrat in response to Former Vice President outburst over the Supreme Court's rejection of new certificate forgery evidence that would have nullified President Tinubu's electoral victory. Mr. Tinubu, in a statement through Bayo Ononuga, one of his aides, was reacting to a press conference on Monday where Mr. Abubakar berated the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) for failing to disqualify Mr. Tinubu and the Supreme Court's failure to admit evidence of his certificate forgery. We were wrong to expect that Atiku at 77 would play the statesman and sportsman and accept with equanimity the verdicts of the highest court and the people of Nigeria, Mr. Tinubu said. Instead, the unashamedly constituted himself into a demagogue and anarchist in the way and manner he sought to pull down and delegitimize all constitutions in the state, all in a futile bid to achieve what he could not get via the ballot box, while ignoring a certificate forgery issued raised by Mr. Abubakar. Mr. Tinubu called the opposition party candidate a hypocrite, saying Mr. Abubakar is one of Africa's worst kleptocrats. Alhaji Abubakar claims he loves Nigeria and embraces integrity so much. We found such claim to be sheer hypocrisy, as Atiku remains one of the worst examples of kleptocracy in Africa. The U.S. Congress lists Atiku's money laundering as one of the very rare cases of corruption at the highest level of governance in the world. His avarice sends Congressman William Jefferson to jail after the FBI busted a bribery scandal in which Atiku was involved from head to toe, and for which he was marked down by the U.S. agency, Mr. Tinubu said. Earlier in August, Mr. Abubakar had approached the U.S. court to compel Chicago State University to release Mr. Tinubu's academic record, which has been the subject of controversy and shrouded in secrecy for decades. Last month, the U.S.-based institution, in a deposition, revealed Mr. Tinubu presented a forged certificate to INEC. CSU's deposition had sparked reactions among Nigerians, with many calling for Mr. Tinubu's ouster in line with Nigeria's constitution. Section 137(1)(j) of the 1999 Constitution, amended in 2010, states that no one would be legitimately elected President of Nigeria if the person has presented a forged certificate to the Independent National Electoral Commission, but was a failed decision. Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the wife of President Bola Tinubu, has described the Lord's doing the Supreme Court verdict of October 26, 2023, affirming her husband as the winner of the February 25, 2023 presidential election. The president's wife stated this today during the Imo State All Progressive Congress APC Women Campaign Rally for the re-election bid of Governor Hope Uzodinma held in Owerri, the state capital. You can see the court has already given my husband clean bill, and we believe that this is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. And elected Senator Oluremi told a crowd of APC supporters decked up in party paraphernalia. The president's wife, who is also a pastor with the Redeemed Christian Church of God, promised that the Southeast will be the industrial hub of Nigeria and encouraged the people to vote for the incumbent governor's re-election in the November 11, 2023 poll. Let me tell you, like my husband promised, that the East will be the industrial hub of Nigeria, she said, and the development of Southeast starts from Igbo. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has said it has no plans to redominate the Naira. The CBN disclosed this to the bond circulation, stating that such plan will take off from January 2024. This was contained in a statement signed by Issa Mumin, Director of Corporate Communications. The statement read, the attention of the Central Bank of Nigeria has been drawn to the wide circulation of a text message suggesting that the bank plans to redominate the country's legal tender, the Naira, with effect from January 2024. We are concerned that this narrative, which we had refuted before now, appears to be gaining traction, with several debates on the implication of such a policy for the Nigerian economy. We wish to reiterate that the content of this message are misleading. The authors of the message, in their mischief, modified text act from an old policy move by a previous CBN governor in 2007 to make it appear recent. For the avoidance of doubt, there is currently no plan by the bank to restructure and redominate the Naira, whilst the bank may be considering reforms such as subject to lay down procedures in line with the provisions of the CBN Act 2007. police in Kwara State have resolved to collaborate more with point-of-sales operators and computer professionals in the bid to curb the use of money transfers in crime, especially in kidnap-related cases, it has been learned. This much was gathered during the Monday visit to Kwara State Police Command by Kwara Association of Professional Point-of-Sales Agents, CAPSA, and the Information Technology Professional Association, ITPA, a body of artisans who are into computer repairs and dealings in the state. During the visit, the association requested assistance from the police in curbing the menace of fraudsters using their businesses to defraud unsuspecting victims, thereby dragging their means of livelihood into disrepute. Speaking on the menace of money transfer and cyber-related criminality, the Commissioner of Police, CP, represented by Adekimi Ojo, DCP Operations, admitted that crime relating to POS agents and machines are almost overwhelming. But he pointed out that the POS agents and their computer artisans, compatriots, are taking the right step by unionizing. Not even the police can victimize you now, he said. He, however, stated that criminal elements hibernate within the ranks of POS agents. Even more, he stated that with CAPSA, the police now has useful partner in fight against criminality that involves money transfers. Nigerian security operatives have killed the notorious bandit who terrorized the community in northwest Nigeria, an official has said. Ahmed Idris, spokesperson to Kebbi Governor Nasser Idris, disclosed this in an early Tuesday statement. He said the bandit, nicknamed May Nasara, was killed in a security operation at Sengeko Forest in Kebbi State. 5 suspected members of May Nasara's gang were also arrested during the operation. Mr. Idris said that Abdulrahman Usman, Director of Security at the Cabinet Office, Brenin Kebbi, revealed the success story. While applauding the gallant effort of the security operatives and personnel in fighting crimes and criminalities in the state, especially in the north-southern part of Kebbi, Mr. Usman appealed to people to give the personnel all the necessary support and cooperation to succeed. Your support and cooperation are highly necessary for the security agencies to achieve the desired goal of flushing out criminals and restoring peace and normalcy in our land. The Committee to Protect Journalists has said that its latest count has shown that at least 31 journalists covering the Israeli army's conflict are being killed. According to CPJ, of the 31 journalists killed in the ongoing war, 26 were Palestinians, 4 Israelis, and 1 Lebanese. It further noted that 8 other journalists have reportedly been injured, while 9 others are considered missing or detained. The CPJ, in a statement yesterday, said journalists in Gaza face particularly high risk as they try to cover the conflict in the face of an Israeli ground assault, devastating Israeli airstrikes, disrupted communication, and extensive power outages. It identifies some of the killed journalists to include a well-known Palestinian filmmaker, Rashid Sarraj, and a Beirut-based videographer for Reuters, Issam Abdullah, who was killed near the Lebanon border by shelling coming from the direction of Israel. However, the Israeli Defense Force has said it was investigating the claim. The IDF further said that it could not guarantee the safety of their journalists operating in the Gaza Strip after they had sought assurance that their employees would not be harmed by Israeli strikes. From that story, we'll go to the sports story. Italian journalist Marco Bellinazzo has stated that Napoli would lose 100 million euros if Osimhen leaves on a free transfer in 2025. Osimhen has arguably been the best player in Napoli for the last 2 seasons. The 24-year-old striker was key to their Serie A success last season, scoring 26 goals in 32 appearances. He also scored 5 goals to help the Pentinoppios to their first ever quarterfinal finish in the UEFA Champions League. Following his exploit with the Pentinoppi, Osimhen was linked with a transfer to some top clubs in Europe. Manchester United, Chelsea, Real Madrid, PSG were some of the top teams that were interested in signing him, but Napoli refused to sell. Instead, they have open talks to tie him down to a new contract as the current one expires at the end of next season. However, both parties are yet to agree on terms, as there are talks that Osimhen is unwilling to accept the buyout clause that Napoli wants to insert in the contract. Also, the recent issue with the TikTok video mocking Osimhen has caused some tension between the club and the Nigerian star. With the current situation, it seems unlikely that Osimhen would pen down a deal soon, and Italian journalist Berlinazzo believes this could be disastrous for the Italian champions. And possibly to the somehow in addition of sports, Super Falcons of Nigeria are having a match with Ethiopian female national team at the MKO International Stadium in Abuja, wishing them the 3 points at stake. With that sports story, we come to the end of today's world news from Babangida Imo Television. Before we go, some headlines. Tinubu receives letters of credence from 4 different envoys. FG plans new FX rules by end of 2023, says Presidential Tax Committee. Nigeria not using its wealth to improve living conditions of citizens. Akpabio. Tinubu calls Atiku Abubakar anarchist, thief over comments on Supreme Court ruling. The Lord's doing, Remy. Tinubu hails Supreme Court verdicts. And on sports, Napoli will lose 100 million euros if Osimhen leaves Napoli team. For updates of our broadcast on YouTube, our handle is Babangida Imo Television. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell. Select option all to access all of our broadcasts. On Facebook, Babangida Imo with Alawi Adibayo. Please like and follow the page. For advert placement of goods and services, coverage of events and function, please down phone number streaming on your screen. Thank you for watching. I am Mauriri Rabila Lawan. Good evening.